Hi, this is Chandler Klebs, and this is just a video of me having a short programming rant. You see, I've been trying to relearn C and C++, and I have some example programs that are working just fine that only use the standard C or C++ libraries. And I've learned a little bit about how to allocate and free memory dynamically during a program. Using malloc and free in C and using the new and delete operators in C++. So I'm doing fairly good. And at first I had a hard time using the GMP library. Now the GMP library is the new multi-precision library. It's basically for arbitrary arithmetic. It lets, like, I used to use this on Linux years ago, and I had a few programs. I still found the source code of my old programs, and I ran them unmodified recently on Windows 10. But at first it was hard to set up because I had to install I installed all the GMP packages. There were several different ones on MSys. I'm using MSys 2, and so it has the GCC compiler, and I had GMP installed, but apparently there was a GMP devel package that I had to install, and then it started working. The command that I had in the source code inside a comment actually worked. But here's the thing: the package manager, I found a way using pacman dash capital S and then a lowercase l lists all the packages that are available through the package manager named Pac-Man. It's funny that it's named Pac-Man, like the video game character, but MSys 64 has, or MSys 2, I'm confused, but this MSys thing, it has worked out and enabled me to compile and run programs that use the standard C++ libraries, basically, as well as GMP. So it works. So now, theoretically, I can write programs that do all the things that are available in the standard libraries, basic input-output stuff, as well as arbitrary precision arithmetic using the functions in this C library, GMP. So I can do it. In fact, I could even make a Powers of 2 program using that, and that would actually be a lot smaller source code than my current Powers of 2 program. However, I'm still attached to my Powers of 2 program, and I'm going to keep that one around because that one is where I did the math myself, so I'm really kind of proud of that program I wrote. And I know I've shared it abundantly. I've shared the JavaScript version and the C version and the C++ version. But that's like my favorite. That was what got me into programming. It's kind of a funny story. It was originally the powers of 2 in that integer sequence specifically in the binary numeral system. I had an understanding of binary. I understood about the powers of 2 and their significance. And Ben Delheim helped me years ago. He had a CD with Microsoft Visual C++ or something like that we installed on an old computer I had back then. And we found the source code of some program that somebody wrote a long time ago that did thousands and thousands of digits of powers of 2. And I knew nothing about C++. But Ben showed me how to compile and run that program, and it worked, and I was so amazed. And that was what got me introduced. So the powers of 2 thing is kind of a significant thing, is what got me into programming. And so I like my way that uses the array as decimal digits. But then I could use GMP if I wanted to do a factorials program, because it would be fast multiplication all done for me. So it works. However, I have programming goals that involve using the SDL library, and I've tried several different things and cannot figure out how it works in MSys because there are SDL packages available and I've installed them all, Unfortunately, I cannot figure out how to compile and link it. And I've looked at tutorials. I haven't figured it out. I may still figure that method out, but if not, I have another backup plan. And this is to remind me in case I forget. I'm actually going to try to use Microsoft Visual Studio and try to use that to compile C++ programs. I'm going to see if I can get it working with the programs I already have. If I can get one of my programs that I've already written working in it, I'll be impressed with that because I don't know much about using an IDE. I do things the old-fashioned Linux way, basically, you know, with GCC commands, GCC, and like here's the source file and here's the output file name and all that stuff. That's the way I like the text-based approach. However, if I start using Microsoft Visual Studio, then there's actually a number of tutorials I can follow that specifically describe how you set up SDL with Visual Studio. So if I can do that, and if I can get SDL programs working on Windows using Visual Studio, that may solve my problem. It just might, because then I can use that on Windows 10 and make programs that, you know, open Windows, draw a square to the screen, or whatever. So then I could use SDL on Windows 10 and make programs that run on other people's Windows computers. But then if I need to have a Linux version of a program available, then it would be possible to perhaps install Linux on either this computer someday or on another computer. Install Linux on there and install the right tools on a Linux distribution and then compile it on Linux, because compiling SDL programs was easier on Linux. Because I know people think Linux is harder than Windows, but when it comes to programming, Linux just makes it easy because everything is installed by a package manager into the right directories where you can compile and link it. But the thing is, it's linking the GMP library was so much simpler than SDL. So maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand this or something. But maybe if I keep working at it over the years, I'll eventually figure out how to get SDL compiled one way or another, or even a pre-compiled package that I can just, you know, include the header files and link the program to, and do some basic graphics stuff in C++. Because once I get past that point, then it's only a matter of how much I understand the language and how to use the SDL functions to do stuff. Because that's my idea. You know, draw some rectangles, some circles, maybe some text to a window. Maybe even create some basic animations or a very, very simple game. Who knows if I'll ever get that far, but it's nice to dream. So that's my dream, is to get good enough at using tools to compile C++ SDL programs. And that would mean also, since SDL can do graphics, it can also do sound. So it would be possible to like play music and draw shapes to the screen at the same time. Like, that would be so cool if I could get it working. Yeah, that would be neat. If I could get it working, I would actually prefer C++ to JavaScript, because I like the idea of making programs that work independently of a web browser. So that's my plan, and that's my programming rant for the moment. And so maybe in 5 years or so, after in my busy life, if I can get this working, and then I look back at this old video, then I'll think, oh, wonderful, those are my dreams. And maybe in a few years I will have achieved some of my goals, because I actually have some really cool ideas of games I would want to make, or even little programs that wouldn't necessarily be games, but it would just be kind of cute. So, okay, I guess that's all I have to say for now. But yeah, I'm excited about programming recently. And in fact, I haven't even been playing my video games recently when I do have free time, because I only have so much free time between working at Hy-Vee and dance lessons and playing with Lucas. I actually went frisbeeing with Lucas and his friend Edwin yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. So, life is good right now, but programming is confusing me, and it stresses me out, but it could be rewarding. So, anyway, bye.